Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Ryan. Welcome back to Speak Up, where we talk about real-life topics that help you grow and stay motivated. Whether you're walking to work, cooking dinner, or just relaxing, we're glad you're here. Today's episode is all about something powerful but often overlooked: consistency. It sounds simple, right? But what if I told you that it's the secret behind nearly every kind of success?
Hi friends, I'm Priya. So glad you're joining us today. You know, people often think success comes from one big action. But really, it's the small things we do every single day that make the biggest difference. In this episode, we're going to explore how being consistent can change your habits, your goals, even your life.
That's right. And don't worry, we're not here to give you some perfect morning routine or pressure you to do more. We're here to keep it real. We'll share simple steps, honest stories, and things you can actually use, even if life gets busy.
Exactly, and stick with us till the end because we'll be sharing one powerful trick that can help you stay consistent, even on the days you feel completely unmotivated. Ready to get started?
All right, now let's first understand, what is consistency really? It's not about doing something perfectly, it's simply about showing up, again and again. Even if the effort is small, it counts. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't skip it just because you're tired, right? You do it daily, and over time, it keeps your teeth healthy. That's consistency. It's not flashy, but it's powerful.
Yes, exactly. And it shows up in so many parts of our lives. Let's take fitness, for example. You don't need to go to the gym for 2 hours every day. Just a 20-minute walk each morning makes a difference if you stick to it. Or save money. 100 rupees a day may not sound like much. But if you keep doing it, that turns into real savings over time. Same with relationships. You build strong bonds by showing up, being present, and keeping promises regularly.
That's such a great point. We often wait for motivation to strike before we do something. But the truth is, motivation comes and goes. Consistency doesn't wait for a good mood. It just says, let's do this anyway. And that's how real progress happens. You don't need to be the most talented or the most intelligent. If you're consistent, you'll end up going further than most people who quit halfway through. It's a quiet strength, but it works every time.
Totally agree. I've seen this happen in work life too. People think career success comes from one big moment, but it's usually built over years of doing the small, boring tasks with care. Or responding to emails, being on time, following through. These small actions build trust, and trust builds opportunities. You don't have to do extraordinary things. You just have to do ordinary things regularly and with intention. That's the power of showing up.
And the beautiful part, you don't have to change everything at once. Start small. Maybe it's reading 5 pages a day or checking in with a friend every Sunday. Those little efforts feel tiny, but they stack up. It's like drops of water filling a bucket. At first, it looks empty, but one day, it's full. That's what consistency does. It fills your life with progress, even if you don't notice it right away.
Exactly. And once you start seeing those small results, it gets easier to keep going. Because you trust the process, you realize that big change doesn't need drama or struggle. It just needs steady steps. So whether it's your health, your finances, or your personal goals, remember this: being consistent may not feel exciting, but it's the one habit that supports every other habit. It really is the foundation of lasting growth.
Now that we understand what consistency really means, let's talk about what it actually does over time. It's not just about repeating something, it's about how those small, repeated actions quietly grow into something big. Think about watering a plant. You don't pour a bucket of water on it once and expect it to bloom overnight. You give it just a little water each day, and after some time, you've got leaves, then flowers, and eventually fruit. It's the daily care that makes it thrive.
That's such a good image. And it works the same in everyday life. Think about saving coins in a jar. At first, it feels like nothing. A few rupees here and there don't look like much. But one day, you shake that jar and realize you've got enough for something meaningful. The same idea applies to skills, habits, or even your mindset. You won't see change in a week. But if you stay patient and keep showing up, progress sneaks up on you quietly but surely.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The compound effect, the idea that small things build up over time, is real. Let's take brushing your teeth. You don't see instant results. But skip it for a few weeks, and you'll definitely feel the consequences. That's how consistency works. The benefits often come much later, but they come big. It's like time is your teammate, and every tiny effort adds interest to your life, but only if you give it time to grow.
And we live in such a fast-paced world, right? We want results now. We start a habit and expect to see change by the weekend. But real transformation takes time. Whether you're learning something new or changing your lifestyle, it doesn't happen in a flash. That's why belief in the process is so important. You have to trust that the work you're putting in today is shaping a better version of you, even if you don't see it yet.
Absolutely. It's kind of like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every day to see if they're growing. You just keep watering them, keep giving them sunlight, and let nature do its work. Same with our goals. If you're consistent with your small habits, you don't need to stress about the big outcome. It'll show up when it's ready. The hardest part is staying patient, but that's also the most powerful part.
And when those long-term results do show up, they usually feel magical. People might say, wow, how did you do that? But they don't see the weeks, months, or even years of quiet effort behind it. That's the beauty of the compound effect. It rewards you when you least expect it. So just keep showing up, even on the boring days, even when no one's watching, because that's when the real growth is happening. So now that we've talked about how small actions build big results, let's take a step into why our brain actually needs consistency. It turns out our brains are wired for patterns. Every habit we form follows a simple loop: trigger to routine to reward. For example, your phone buzzes, trigger. You check your messages, routine. And you feel a little excited or satisfied, reward. That loop gets stronger the more we repeat it. It's the brain's way of saying, hey, this works, let's keep doing it.
Right, and that's exactly how habits are born. The brain loves shortcuts. Once it finds a routine that works, it stores it away to save energy. That's why you can drive home from work without really thinking. You've done it so many times that your brain has basically put it on autopilot. And here's the cool part. By repeating something consistently, you're literally building a shortcut in your mind. It makes the action easier and faster each time.
And here's another interesting thing. Our brains don't like making too many decisions. It's called decision fatigue. The more choices we have to make in a day, the more tired and stressed we feel. But consistency helps with that. When something becomes a habit, you don't have to decide anymore. It just happens. Whether it's waking up at the same time, drinking water in the morning, or doing a quick workout, it reduces mental load and makes life smoother.
Exactly. That's why consistent routines feel comforting. They create structure in your day, and that structure gives your brain some breathing room. You're not waking up wondering, what should I do first? Your brain already knows, and that saves energy for bigger, more important decisions. It's like mental budgeting. You're spending less on small choices so you can focus more on what truly matters.
And the best part is, the more you repeat a habit, the more your brain rewards you. It releases little hits of dopamine, the feel-good chemical, when you follow through on a task. That's why even checking off a to-do list feels satisfying. Your brain loves that sense of progress and predictability. And over time, these repeated actions become part of who you are. You don't just do the habit, you become the kind of person who does it.
That's powerful. So when we talk about consistency, we're not just talking about doing something over and over. We're talking about changing how your brain works. It's about creating a system that makes good choices feel natural and automatic. When you understand that, it's easier to stick with it, even on the hard days. Because now you know your brain isn't fighting you. It's actually helping you. One small routine at a time. Now that we've seen how our brain actually supports consistency, let's talk about something most of us deal with. Why it's so hard to stay consistent. I mean, let's be honest. We all start strong, right? Whether it's a new workout plan, a journaling habit, or even waking up early, those first few days feel great. But then something happens. Life gets busy, we miss a day or two, and suddenly that strong start fades away.
Totally relatable. One big reason people struggle is because we want fast results. We think, if I do this for 1 week, I should see a change. But when results take longer, we get frustrated. Think about saving money. If you put away just a few dollars a day, you won't notice a big change after a week, but stick with it for 6 months and wow, it adds up. It's the same with any habit. The problem isn't you, it's our expectations that mess with our consistency.
And distractions don't help either. Social media, unexpected work stress, family stuff, it's easy to get thrown off. So here's one thing that's helped me a lot. Lower the bar. Instead of aiming for perfection, just aim to show up. For example, don't worry about running 5 kilometers. Just put your shoes on and step outside. If you're trying to write, just open the document and type one sentence. The goal is progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And here's a simple rule I follow: never miss twice. If I skip one workout or forget to read one evening, I don't beat myself up. But I make sure I don't skip the next one. One day off is human. 2 in a row? That's when it can start to slip. Just keeping that little promise to myself, I won't miss 2 times in a row, keeps me grounded even when life gets crazy.
That's a solid rule. Another tip that works for me is tracking wins weekly, not daily. Because honestly, some days just don't go as planned, and that's okay. But when I look back at my week and see that I showed up 4 or 5 days out of 7, I feel proud. That weekly view gives me space to succeed without feeling guilty for the off days.
I love that. And I think the big takeaway here is be kind to yourself, but stay honest. You're not failing because you're lazy or undisciplined. You're just expecting too much, too fast, or trying to be perfect. Focus on just showing up, one small step at a time. Because when you lower the pressure, it actually becomes easier to keep going, and that's where the magic happens.
Now that we've talked about why staying consistent can be hard, let's look at something a lot of people get confused about: motivation versus consistency. You know how sometimes you feel super pumped to do something, like on January 1st when you're full of big goals? That's motivation. It's exciting, but it doesn't last. The problem is, motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes, and if you only act when you feel motivated, you're going to stop the moment it gets boring or tough.
That's so true. I used to wait for motivation too. I'd think, I'll work out when I feel like it, or I'll write when I'm in the mood. But honestly, that mood didn't show up most days. What changed things for me was shifting from motivation to discipline. Discipline is like a quiet friend who shows up even when you're tired. It's not loud or exciting, but it gets results. You don't need fireworks. You just need a system you trust and follow.
Exactly. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't skip it just because you're not in the mood, right? You just do it because it's part of your routine. That's discipline. And the mindset shift is this: stop asking yourself how you feel. Start reminding yourself what you promised. Did you say you'd walk every day? Then walk, even if it's just 5 minutes. The feeling doesn't matter. The follow-through does.
I love that. And here's the thing: discipline builds motivation over time. When you show up daily, you start seeing progress. That progress then makes you feel good. So ironically, discipline ends up feeding motivation, but it's discipline that has to come first. You can't sit around waiting to feel like it. You just have to start, even on the boring or hard days.
Totally. And once you realize that, you stop blaming yourself for not being excited all the time. You start focusing on the process. You learn to trust that even slow steps matter. It's not always fun, but it's real. Discipline is like a quiet superpower. It doesn't shout, but it wins the long game every single time.
Yes. So if you're listening and thinking, I just can't stay motivated, maybe it's time to stop chasing motivation and start building discipline. Create simple rules for yourself, show up no matter what, and let your actions speak louder than your feelings. That's how consistency becomes your secret weapon.
So now that we've seen how discipline beats motivation, let's get even more practical. Let's talk about how to build a consistent routine that actually fits your life. A lot of people try to copy someone else's routine, but that doesn't always work. The key is to start with just one area. Maybe it's health, maybe it's reading. Pick one, not 5. That way, you're not overwhelmed and you can really focus your energy.
Exactly. And once you've picked that one area, say it's health, you want to start small, like really small. Maybe just 10 minutes of stretching every morning, or a 5-minute journal after dinner. It doesn't have to be dramatic. The trick is to choose a time and stick with it every day. Make it so short and easy that skipping it feels silly. That's how routines become habits. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to show up.
Right. And here's a little trick I use. Tie your new habit to something you already do. It's called habit stacking. So, for example, after brushing your teeth at night, you could do a 2-minute meditation. Or every time you make your morning coffee, you read one page of a book. That anchor helps your brain connect the new habit with something familiar. It takes the pressure off and makes it feel natural.
That's a great tip. I also love using tools to help me stay on track. A habit tracker, even just a paper calendar where I cross off days, keeps me motivated. I also set reminders on my phone, especially in the beginning. And if you really want to stay consistent, tell someone about your goal, a friend, partner, coworker, just someone who will check in. That kind of gentle pressure helps more than we realize.
Yep. And remember, your routine doesn't have to be fancy. The goal isn't to do everything, it's to do something, consistently. Keep it flexible. Life happens, and some days will feel off. That's okay. Just keep returning to your anchor habit. Whether it's a short walk, a few pages of reading, or budgeting your money, it all adds up over time. It just needs to work for you.
Exactly. So if you're listening right now, here's your challenge. Pick one area, one time, and one tiny habit. Then commit to doing it for a week. That's it. Keep it so simple you can't fail. And once it sticks, you can build on it. That's how real lasting routines are made. Not overnight, but one easy win at a time.
So now that we've laid out how to build a consistent routine, let's talk about what it actually looks like in real life. Because sometimes it's easy to think, well, this sounds good in theory, but does it really work? Let me tell you about a dad I know. He's in his 40s, has 2 kids, and a busy 9-to-5 job. He didn't join a gym, didn't go on a crash diet. All he did was walk for 30 minutes every evening, every day for 6 months. He lost 10 kilos. No magic, just steady effort.
Wow, that's so relatable. And I've got another one. There's this woman I used to work with, single mom, very tight budget. She decided to save just 100 rupees a day. That's it. She cut small things like takeaway coffee or snacks. After 1 year, she'd saved over 36,000 rupees. Enough to clear one credit card and take her daughter on a short holiday. She didn't win the lottery. She didn't make a huge salary. She just showed up for herself daily, and it paid off.
That's amazing. And here's one more. This one's for all the students listening. A guy I met at a workshop started learning digital design in college. He committed to just 1 hour a day, after his classes, before bed, whatever time he had. He stayed consistent for about a year and started freelancing. By the end of his final year, he was making more than a full-time salary, just from that one daily hour. He didn't wait to be an expert. He just stayed consistent.
These stories prove something powerful, right? None of these people did anything extreme. They didn't push themselves to the edge or work 12-hour days. What they did do was show up every single day. And that's what matters most. It's not about giant leaps. It's about small steps that add up and the courage to keep taking them, even when results are slow.
Absolutely. And the best part? These kinds of changes are possible for anyone. You don't need special skills, money, or perfect timing. You just need to keep going. Whether it's saving money, getting fit, learning something new, consistency gives you the power to move forward, even on the hard days.
So if you're listening and thinking, can I really do this? The answer is yes. Pick something small, walk 10 minutes, write 100 words, save 50 rupees. Just start and repeat it. Real change doesn't come from motivation. It comes from showing up again and again, and the best part, one day people will ask you how you did it.
Finally, let's talk about something really important. How to stay consistent when life gets tough or just plain boring. Because let's face it, motivation won't always be there. Things get busy, stressful, or just dull. One trick I use is having a minimum version of my habit. For example, if I normally work out for 30 minutes on tough days, I just do 5 minutes of stretching. That way, I keep the streak alive and I don't fall off track completely.
Yes, that's such a helpful strategy. I use a similar one. I tell myself, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. Maybe my journal entry isn't deep. Maybe I don't study for an hour, but I showed up. Even a short version counts. I also keep visible reminders, sticky notes on my mirror, alarms on my phone, or a habit tracker on my wall. These tiny cues make a big difference when your brain is tired or distracted.
Totally agree. And here's the thing. We often forget to celebrate ourselves, but rewards matter. I like to give myself a little treat when I hit a small milestone. Maybe it's a movie night, a snack I love, or just crossing off a full week on my calendar. These mini celebrations make the process feel lighter and more fun, because let's be honest, when things feel hard or boring, even a small bit of joy helps you keep going.
That's so true. And here's what I always remind myself. Consistency isn't about speed. It's about not quitting. Life will always throw challenges your way. But if you can keep walking, slowly, gently, even if you crawl, you're still moving. That momentum is gold. The habit stays alive, and when things get better, you won't have to start from zero.
Exactly. We're not machines. Some days are better than others. But what matters is the mindset of showing up no matter what. Whether it's your fitness, your money, your goals, just doing the tiniest version on your worst day can keep the fire burning. And that quiet persistence, that's what builds unshakable confidence over time.
So, to everyone listening, thank you for spending your time with us today. If there's one thing we want you to take away, it's this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Life will test you, but you have what it takes to keep showing up. Little by little, day by day, you're building something incredible.
We're so glad you joined us on this episode of Speak Up. If this helped you, feel free to share it with a friend who needs a little motivation. And hey, keep that streak alive. Even one small action today can change your tomorrow.
Take care, stay strong, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, keep showing up for yourself. Bye.